Hey friends, Frankie and Brad here in the kitchen where we cook music. Today Brad and I are going to follow up on some of our videos on 1960s singers. This is part 3. We've got a pretty long list. Kick us off with Frankie Valli.
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. They were probably one of the few bands that were actually out before the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And they were American, so Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and the Beach Boys were both established bands when the Beatles hit America. And, you know, Frankie Valli, they had a string of hit songs that went all the way into the 70s.
Yeah, he had an amazing voice. In fact, they did a movie about the Four Seasons that was really good.
Actually, Frankie just finished his farewell tour, and he was 90 years old.
Wow, it's amazing. They did have a slew of hits, you know, from Ragdoll,
Dawn.
Yeah.
I mean, just a lot of songs.
But we're going to move on to Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Paul Revere and the Raiders, the first band I ever saw live. The Spirit of 67. That album, which is Mark Lindsay, their singer, called their Sgt. Pepper. That was their best album. That group had a lot of odd things going on. Drake Lovin, their main guitar player, was let go. Jim Valli took his place because he was in a band that backed him up on several shows, and they liked him. They thought he could fill in, but as it turned out, the album that he was on, they called Drake Lovin to come back and do a lot of the lead guitar parts, and they actually did that through pretty much the rest of their career. He came back and did a lot of guitar work for them without actually having credit on the album.
I hope he charged them dearly. Tommy James and the Shondell were huge.
You know, and that's another performer that actually still performs to this day.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Tommy James does. I have read about 200 shows a year. I'm sure the original band is long gone, but he's written a lot of hit songs that were also recorded by other artists. So he's made money in more than one way. So
Crimson and Clover was covered by Joan Jett.
Yeah. A lot of people. And then another group that I saw early in my teens, Buffalo Springfield.
Wow, what a
band.
band.
That was quite an experience.
Yeah.
Of course, Neil Young, Stephen Stills, and Richard Fury, who started Poco. I mean, those three guys, they actually, I've said before, they were the first 3-guitar band that I saw that I could actually hear all 3 guitars. They all had a different and unique sound. Different styles, yes.
Very different styles. In fact, Neil Young's style is something different.
You know, I love the earlier Neil Young material. Today, I think a lot of his stuff, you can take it or leave it, but a lot of his early stuff was absolutely fabulous.
I've always liked his songwriting. As a guitar player, Stephen Stills I thought was the superior guitarist.
Yeah, in those earlier days, Steele played. I never heard him play the way I saw him that night. And on those Buffalo Springfield again, that was their second album. His guitar playing is superb.
I saw Stephen Stills live solo back when he had that hit "Love the One You With."
Yes.
good show. Definitely, definitely good guitar player. The Hollies.
Yeah, Graham Nash. I mean, that's where his career started with the Hollies. And you know, it's odd. They were a kind of band that they did write some of their songs, but most of their material was outsourced from other songwriters. Um, I think Bus Stop,
Yeah.
which is a huge hit, was written by the singer for 10cc.
I did not know
Yeah,
that.
he and his dad were a songwriting team, and they wrote a lot of songs for other artists. I think the Kinks actually recorded a song that they had written. Hermits recorded a song they had written. But yeah, the Hollies, they actually, when Graham Nash left the band, came to America, it wasn't a couple weeks later, he heard a song by the Hollies that went to #1. He said he felt like, wow. He said, I leave the band and they get a #1.
They changed their style considerably after Graham Nash left. They become a little bit more hard edge in their later
Yeah, Long
later
Cool
years.
Woman.
Yeah. Ricky, don't lose that number. Was that the Hollies?
That was Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Okay.
Moving on to Herman's Hermits. Peter Noon, 16 years old when he came to America as their singer. I mean, he was quite young.
He was a great front man. I remember when I was dating girls in high school, I think every girl I dated idolized him instead of me. But
Yeah,
they had
a string of
a
hits.
big hits, a lot of really well-written songs. I don't know who wrote a lot of those
Now,
songs.
if you think back, a lot of stuff they did were like the Dave Clark Five. They would take old songs
Hmm.
from the late 50s or early 60s and turn them into songs that sounded like they wrote them.
Hmm.
And the Hermits did the same thing. Silhouettes was written by a black group back in the 50s,
Yeah.
and they made it sound like something they wrote.
They did. I think a lot of the British bands, not just Herman's Hermits, but a lot of them were very good at taking, particularly the old blues songs, and completely doing rearrangements.
Rearranging them.
Didn't even sound anything like the originals. Example, Eric Clapton's Crossroads. If you compare it to Robert Johnson, they're not even similar.
Yeah, you think that Cream wrote that.
Yeah, really. Lovin' Spoonful.
Now that was a totally different style.
Very folk rock.
Yes, folk rock.
Uh,
Summer in the City was probably their biggest hit.
yeah.
And of course, John Sebastian went on to have a great solo career.
Yeah. They had a bunch of hits right in a row. They were in that folk revival with. They were friends with the Mamas and Papas, the guy that did Eve of Destruction, Barry McGuire,
Right.
and a lot of those bands. I know sometime in the late '60s, a couple of their members were arrested for pot, for marijuana, and one of them turned state's evidence, and the band broke up, and their fans just flushed them like a wet turd when that happened. Nobody in the day, liked the idea of turning a dime on somebody that you bought pot from. And I think the guy ended up going to jail, but that pretty much ended their career. And then John Sebastian went on and on and on and still going. But they did have probably 4 or 5 hits before they disbanded.
Yeah, they did.
The Turtles. We just lost Mark Borman.
Mormon, yes.
but the Turtles were an incredible band. Did a lot of AM, FM radio play. She'd Rather Be With Me. She's My Girl. Eleanor. Of course, Happy Together,
Happy Together,
number one
yeah.
song in 1967. And it unseated the Beatles, in fact. And
Of course, after the Turtles broke up, Flo and Eddie, I saw
Yes.
open up for many groups back in the 70s.
they were so funny. Howard Kamen is hilarious. He recently wrote a movie that's posted to watch for free on YouTube called Jimmy and Me. That's a story about in 1967 them going to England, and he had dinner with Jimi Hendrix and ended up puking all over him, throwing up all over him, and commented at the end of the movie, he never wore that suit again. But Kamen was something else, and he's still living. We're going to move on to the Association.
You know, Along Comes Mary, they had a string, Cherish. At one time, Never My
Never My
Love
Love.
was the most
Played songs
played
at weddings.
song on the internet. I mean, it was a song that people loved, obviously, but they were the opening act at Monterey.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were the first band to play, and I read that the guy that put all Monterey Pop Festival together said they were the perfect group to start that show. He said their vocals were just so tight, harmonies were spot on, that it really got the crowd in the mood.
They were the first band I recall in America to have an Asian guitarist.
He was also a very good singer, so
Yeah.
that helped a lot.
And I know, I remember, 16 years old, driving around in the car more than once, with the old 4-track or 8-track playing the Association's best hits. Great band in the day.
They were. I think one of them recently passed away.
Really?
I'm not sure it was one of the guitar players, but in their heyday, they were good.
Moving on, Van Morrison, a legend, truly
Yes,
a
a true legend.
Great blues singer and respected by so many other great singers. Did Brown Eyed Girl.
Brown Eyed Girl.
Um,
He was in another band before he was solo. They did a song, Here Comes the Night.
them.
That's who it was.
Yes, them.
That's where I first heard Van Morrison. I truly liked that song. I heard it on the radio. Everybody my age back then had a transistor radio.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a paper route, and I carried my radio when I was throwing paper.
Right.
So, yeah, that group, I enjoyed hearing that song when it came on.
I think it was Tom Jones, I could be wrong, that commented that Van Morrison was one of the best soulful blues singers of the day.
Oh, I'm sure they were both probably from the same
Yeah, same cut.
country and probably idolized each other.
Yeah. Moving on, my favorite band growing up, Simon and Garfunkel. If I'm not mistaken, I think they did 6 albums, and every one of them sold gold. Every one of them sold over 1 million
Yeah,
copies.
they really had had their own sound.
Yeah.
When you heard it on the radio, you knew who it was.
They were unique to the point that they captured incredible songwriting, astonishing vocals from both of them.
Yeah, actually,
And-
both of you guys were
And
great
Paul
singers.
Simon's not no slouch on a guitar
No.
now. He's a good guitarist. And when you put all that together in a duo, they were unstoppable. So many so many big hits, from The Sound of Silence to Bridge Over Troubled Waters.
Yeah, they had a lot of great songs, and actually Garfunkel, if I'm not mistaken, I know he recorded 5 solo albums, and they're actually not bad at all.
Oh no, I've got quite a few of those albums. So they both had astonishing solo careers.
They did.
Simon probably more recognizable than Garfunkel, but when it come down to whether their individual careers or their duo careers were better, that's a subject for another day.
Yeah,
Personally,
obviously they would not have solo careers if it weren't for Simon and Garfunkel.
Personally, I think together they had synergy. They were greater than the sum of their parts. They were just phenomenal. But there are a lot of people that may disagree with me on that. We're going to end with Peter and Gordon.
Now, they were England's answer to Simon and Garfunkel. Peter Asher, whose sister Jane Asher was dating Paul McCartney. Peter says that McCartney actually lived at their house for a couple of years, and he heard McCartney writing all these great songs. And they had a piano in the basement, and he said Paul would be in the basement writing song after song. He told Paul, he said, Gordon and I would like to get into business, but we need a song. World Without Love is the song that McCartney wrote and gave to Peter and Gordon, and that was their first hit.
And a monster hit.
Yes.
Great harmonies. They were very big for several years.
Yeah, and Peter Asher actually went on to manage Linda Ronstadt and actually played in her band for a time or two. So
Amazing.
he is still somehow related in the music industry. He's on the Beatles show or radio show every week doing a show. So he has a lot of interesting stories to tell, and
we're going to end it with that. That's part 3 of 1960 Singers. Please subscribe to our site. Give us a couple of thumbs up. And as always, we'd like to thank you for your time. Have a great day.